Many bright and capable people should move forward, but they don't. They're stuck and they're frustrated. And I'm not just talking about teenagers. I'm talking about everyone in here that's older than 19 as well. You see, I grew up as one of the most intelligent people in my class. I had one of the highest IQs in my school. According to this IQ chart, I was deemed super intelligent. But I still found myself stuck and frustrated and couldn't figure out why. And then I learned something. And what I learned was that being intelligent and acting intelligent are not the same thing. Go figure. When you bridge the gap between being intelligent and acting intelligent, you acquire emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is when you become aware of your own feelings and the feelings of those around you, and you use those to guide your thoughts, your actions, and your behaviors. You act intelligently, something I didn't do. Now, we are very beholden to our emotional state. We like to act based on how we feel. Let's say, for example, we have John. John just missed the bus by 2 minutes. And then he gets a call, because now he's late to work and he's frustrated and angry, and he gets a call from his son that calls him and says, "Dad, can I go to my friend's house tonight?" And then Dad goes, "No, home tonight early. I'm sick and tired of staying up for you while you're out with your friends." The reason that John was upset had nothing to do with his son, but he took all of that out on his son. And you see, what John needed to demonstrate here was not his IQ, it was his EQ. And if he had acted based off of his emotional intelligence, he wouldn't have reacted that way. But let's be fair, you guys are probably wondering, why is a 22-year-old on stage talking to me about brain science? Well, let me take you a little bit back to my past. Growing up, I had a Cinderella childhood. I had amazing friends, I had an amazing family, great education. I really had it all. My father was my coach for soccer, so this girl got playing time all the time. I was the cool girl. And by the time I was 13, every boy wanted to hit on me, and every girl wanted to hit me, okay? I was that girl. But then at 14, something came over me. And I went through this very emotional, I just started feeling different. You know when women grow older and they go through this phase and they just become super moody? Well, I got what I can best describe to you as the teenage menopause. Do not come near this girl. Moody. Did not want to come near me. And I went from being this vivacious, bouncy boy magnet to this very quiet, insecure, and lonely girl. All the things that I had enjoyed, soccer, no more. Friends, no more. Family, I would lock the door at home so that I didn't have to talk to my family. Everything I enjoyed, no more. I'd look in the mirror in my room and I'd see this immensely overweight woman, but it was all in my head. I wasn't overweight. And these feelings and demons started to take over my mind. And I'd go to sleep and I'd look down at my stomach and say, I can't eat tomorrow because I need my stomach to be flatter. Because I saw this enormously overweight woman in the mirror. And every time that I would look in the mirror, I'd get bigger and bigger, but every time I stepped on the scale, I'd get lighter and lighter. What was going on? In a matter of a few months, I dropped 42 pounds, and I was nothing but a bag of skin and bones. My hair was falling out, my nails were falling off, I was pale, I was anemic, malnourished, and I just remember crying myself to sleep almost every night, listening to dreary, sad music. It got so bad to the point that I even missed my parents' anniversary. Everybody was out to dinner, but me, I was pretending to sleep at home so that I didn't have to sit at the table where there was food. And then that night, my parents came in my room and they said, "Enough is enough. You need help." And so that day, I went to sleep crying, and I woke up. My mother woke me up, and she said, "We're going to the doctor's," all the way in Somerset, New Jersey. It's about a 3-hour ride, so I woke up, get to the doctor's office. I'm sitting in this brown chair. You have the doctor, and then you have my mother. The doctor's taking my vitals, taking my numbers, and I said, do whatever you have to do. And in my head, I'm just like, get me out of here. I didn't want to be there at all. And so this doctor's taking my vitals, and he turns and he says, "Ashley, let me have a word with you in my office." And rightfully so, like any other mother, my mom goes, "Can I come?" And the doctor's, "Let me just speak to her alone." So now I'm anxious. My mother's anxious. I step into the doctor's office, and I take a seat in this big leather chair that I sunk right into. Not only was I small, but I felt so small. I felt so unimportant, so belittled. And so I sat in this chair, and like anger was raging out of my skin. And the doctor turned to me and said, "Ashley, you need to change your behavior, or you're going to die." Die? I'm thinking to myself, I'm 14 years old. How am I going to die? So the doctor walks out and goes to speak to my mother. And I'm left there in the room. And I had so much anger is raging out of my skin because of how belittled and exposed I had just felt. And all these feelings were crawling up my chest and crawling up to my head. And these demons are speaking to me. And at that moment, I just sat there and I had a meltdown the size of Manhattan. And at that moment was when I learned that being intelligent has nothing to do with acting intelligent at all. And no matter how smart I was up here, what happens here was a determining force of how my life was going to play out. And that's when I knew I had to change my behavior. Now, I'm sure you can guess how this ends, because I'm still here. And I wish I could tell you that crawling out of that ditch was easy, but it wasn't. It took me 4 years of rehab, 4 years of homeschooling, 4 years of countless daily anxiety, panic attacks, and tears that could fill an entire swimming pool. But what I learned in that was the gift of emotional intelligence. I learned how to feel one way, but act another way for a better outcome. Now, lucky me, being 22 years old, prior to age 25, the rational part of my brain is not fully developed. So sometimes people my age or younger tend to do things that you adults look at us like, "What are you thinking? What are you doing?" And I'm going to stand up for all the young ones. We are not thinking. We're too busy feeling. have an emotional mind and we all have a rational mind. And the way things happen, no matter what age you are, is that when events occur to us, it communicates with the emotional brain before it does to the rational brain. So by the time it reaches the rational brain, it's kind of too late. You've already acted. And that's why we become so impulsive. So the question becomes, how do we bring these two together? How do we bridge that gap to create higher emotional intelligence? How do we let these two parts of the brains communicate? Well, there's two ways that I want to talk to you about today that we can all start today to increase our emotional intelligence. Number one is meditation. Now, you guys are probably thinking, Ashley, are you telling me that the next time I'm in an emotionally charged up situation, you want me to just start meditating? Do not try this at home. Don't do that. It doesn't work. What I'm saying is, meditation works like, let's say, for example, soccer practice. Growing up playing soccer, I used to go to practice every day, but in practice, we don't necessarily shoot goals. We tend to do more drills, go around cones. We tend to kick it to each other, run with the ball so we know it's in control. We learn how to control the ball. Meditation works the same way. We learn to control our thinking, control our thoughts, so that when we get in the game, like when we get in a soccer game and you go to shoot, you're more likely to score, to get that better outcome, because you've practiced outside of that charged up situation. So when we meditate, oftentimes you focus on just one thing. And oftentimes your emotional brain gets in the way of that. Let's say your very life source, your breath. When you try to focus on that, your emotional brain starts to kick in, it jumps in, it pushes you off, and you start thinking about your boyfriend, you start thinking about your girlfriend, you start thinking about your day, your work, your school, whatever it is. And it's so hard to focus on just your life breath for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Now, I remember while going through rehab, we used to play with horses as a way of therapy. And I remember getting on that field, running straight to the horse. And I went to put my foot on the horse, and it pushed me, it kicked me off, and I fell to the ground. And my trainer came running to me and said, "Whoa, you can't do that. You can't just jump on a horse." I said, "But you just did it." He said, "Yeah, I've gained control of the horse. I have a relationship with the horse. The horse trusts me." And I said, "Well, how can I do that?" And he said, "Well, you're going to have to spend weeks looking at the horse. And then you have to spend weeks petting the horse. And then you have to spend weeks talking to the horse. And another few weeks feeding the horse. And another few weeks maybe just putting one foot on the horse." And he said, "It takes time. But once you can do this and the horse doesn't feel threatened anymore, it's going to start to trust you. And it will listen to your every command." And meditation is just like that. When we meditate, the emotional mind is going to react just like that horse. It's going to push us off, it's going to kick us back, and we're going to fall to the ground. We're not going to be able to think because the emotional mind does not trust our rational mind yet. And over time, it learns to trust the rational mind. In fact, research shows that after just a few months meditating, more activity starts to occur in the rational mind rather than the emotional mind, making us more rational and emotionally intelligent human beings. So now that we've practiced, just like soccer practice, we've been meditating, what do we do when we're actually in a charged up situation? Well, there are 3 things that you can do starting today that will help you when you're in the situation, when you're in the game. First, become aware of how you're feeling and how those around you are feeling. Label them. Are you angry? Are you feeling hurt? Are you feeling anxious? Are you shy? Are you upset? Are you happy? How are they feeling? Are they shy? Are they upset? Are they happy? The second thing you can do is to harness those emotions. Think about it. What is the best possible action I can take right now for the best possible outcome? And the third thing you can do is act on the best possible outcome, regardless of how you're feeling. Sometimes we feel angry, but we have to act appropriate. Let's say, for example, somebody cuts you off. You're going to be feeling emotionally charged up. Or let's say you're at work and somebody says you look pregnant when you're not. Or let's say your husband forgets your birthday. Okay, that was a bad example. No, all bets are off if your husband forgets your birthday. But when we're feeling emotionally charged up, we become aware of how we're feeling and aware of how other people are feeling. And then we harness those emotions and think about what is the best possible outcome that I can take right now for the best possible solution. And the third thing you do, you take that action. You see, I didn't know what emotional intelligence was when I was in that ditch. I was acting on how I felt all the time. I didn't know how to gain control of my emotions, how to recognize what they were and act against them when needed. But because I have, a whole new world of opportunities have opened up for me. In my relationships, in my career, I'm able to focus now and study and do better in school. I'm able to gain these business opportunities never happened before. All because of this one gift that I can now control how I feel and behave. Everybody here, you can do the same thing. You can start today to practice at home, meditate, learn your mind, learn the emotional mind, become aware of it, let it kick you off a few times, continue. And when you can finally do that, you can behave differently and gain your emotional intelligence and become unstuck and less frustrated. Because of this one gift, I now have opened a world of opportunities, and you can do the same. It has not only given me my life back, it has given me so much more that I want you to have as well.